Professor Motlalepula Matsabisa van die Universiteit van die Vrystaat se departement van Farmakologie kuier vanoggend saam met ons oor gesels oor kliniese toetse wat gedoen word om plant-gebasseerde behandeling vir Covid-19 te bevestig. Good morning, Professor Matsabisa. Nice to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Good morning. And good morning to
before we
the
get into the nuts and bolts of this clinical trial, when is this trial supposed to start?
We should start as soon as possible. I think what's holding us is the final stage of the medicine production, and we foresee that could actually happen, I think, within this week or next week. So once we have, I think, the final product, then I think we should be ready to go.
It's great to hear that there's a South African plant-based alternative that is a practical solution and a realistic solution. These clinical trials, how long would it take to confirm the success of these trials?
Normally, you know, because COVID is such an acute disease, it's very short. We are planning that, you know, the study takes about 28 days on dosing and say about a month. So we should be able within that period then to have some idea and I think the results. So each patient should be dosed for 28 days. And that will then, I think, you know, depend again how quickly we get the patients. But should we get, I think, all the patients that, you know, meet the criteria, the study should be about a month or so. So give it a month to 2 months to complete it.
Mr. Matsabisa, please just give us some background regarding where the need, you know, where it came from to start this study or to go through with it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, this is a process. You know, science takes long, but this product, you know, has been a product that we've been researching for some time, and it started us working on the product, you know, as an immune modulator, where we wanted to understand how it does it, and it was purposed at the time for people with immune compromised conditions such as HIV. But I think, you know, the results that we did, you know, following, I think, the COVID showed that I think the product has a potential to be developed and repurposed for COVID. So in our laboratories, we found that it does, in fact, have an effect on killing, you know, the SARS-CoV, you know, viruses, including the variants. And that really took us then to say, look at the mechanism, how it does it. And we found that then it could be applied for COVID, especially as, you know, an immune modulator to fight against the cytokine storm that happens in COVID patients.
Professor, the plant base that is being used, can you elaborate a little more on that?
Yes, this product, in fact, is a combination of 4 plants. These plants are iconic plants. They are found in South Africa. But it is a preparation that has been, I think, used many years ago. I think long time ago in the Congo region, you know, the historical Congo region, I think West Africa to South, you know, Southern Africa. It has been used, you know, for one disease that used to be called, you know, Muyaga. And that disease had symptoms where patients, you know, would actually be weak. Patients would have a pimply, you know, white tongue, and these patients, you know, would die a very slow and painful death. And similarly, I think in Southern Africa, there used to be a disease called, you know, Mohoma. It's, I think, a Southern Sotho name. And again, the patients had to have a similar disease. And we looked at that and said, this could actually be applied. You know, the signs and symptoms at the time, you know, looked like HIV. That's why we developed it for HIV. But then now, because of the cytokine storm where the immune system go berserk, we needed a product that would then, I think, you know, what do you call it, calm down the immune system. Our studies, I think, you know, our animal studies showed that, you know, when we used dexamethasone, you know, to knock off the immune system, and also cyclosporin to knock off the immune system, the product did reverse the immune system to normal and had no effect, you know, on a normal immune system. Hence why we felt that it would actually be able then to manage our cytokine storm in COVID patients.
And how would you describe the level and the quality of technology and resources at this stage?
We are confident, I think, with the science that we have put into this product. It has not just been done by the University of the Vrystaat. We work with partners, at the CSIR. We also work with partners internationally. So the results that we have obtained, are supported by also the data that comes out, from our partners, both, I think, nationally and internationally. We have done a lot of, I think, scientific publications, on how the product works. So this is really one of the first, traditional medicines where we can now explain how it actually works, instead of just saying it is an immune booster based on anecdotes. But now we know the science, that it could actually be working using a particular mechanism, of immune modulation, which is a cellular, immunology, mechanism. So we're very confident, I think, with the science. We're also very confident with the quality of the product, because we have then, I think, formulated this product into a unit dose of 350 milligram, tablet that is taken as 2 tablets twice a day. And it's so therefore very easy to use. And it's really, I think, one of the products that we are very proud of, I think, as South Africans, to see it being developed this far to a clinical stage, especially, I think, for a disease such as COVID-19.
I would also like you to describe the role of research within this regard, please.
Yes. It's actually very important. We need science, to add value, to traditional medicines. But also we need the science, to get the confidence of traditional medicines to the consumers and the patients, so that at least people can know what they are taking, so that people can be assured, of the safety, of the product, but also so that people can invest their money when they buy a product from the shelf, on a chemist, on a pharmacy store, that the product will do what it is intended to do. In this case, that the product will in fact work for those immune compromised individuals, whether it's immune compromised, from HIV, or whether it is immune compromised from TB. I think we can now confidently say, when you pick such a product, that a good science has been put into the development of that product.
Professor, it's actually very exciting to realize that something that has been, like you say, anecdotal or traditional in Southern Africa can reach the level of scientifically proven medicine. If people out there are looking for a specific product or thinking of the product name, what are they listening for?
Yeah, normally I think, for diseases, such as, COVID, you have a situation where people are very, I think, are desperate because there's no ultimate cure. Vaccines are there to help us, I think, mitigate against, COVID, but they are not curative. No, vaccines are actually being preventative. So you then find that, when people have these debilitating diseases, they become, I think, gullible, they become desperate, and therefore they take anything that comes their way. But for them now to know that at least there is a scientifically, I think, proven and validated, quality, safe, and effective product on the market, it is a good plus for us. And also, I think, it will be good that at least we, I think, as South Africa, can put up a traditional medicine product into the formal markets, a product that can be registered by the SAPRA. That's really what I think our science, should be doing to traditional medicines.
And then the funding and expenses for these kind of trials, would you describe that as a challenge?
It's the biggest challenge. I think, you have a chasm where industry does not want to invest into a product where it has no clinical trial because the risks are very high. And then you, on the other hand, have government saying, oh, but this is too expensive. Health would say, but we're just a service provider. We're not doing, I think, research. And let alone now coming up with a product that is a traditional medicines-based product. product. No, there's always a skepticism. Nobody wants, to take that chance. But thanks to, I think, our government, thanks, to the Minister of Science and Innovation, Dr. Blade Nzumande, and his team, they funded, I think, the clinical trial. And it's not really a very cheap, clinical trial because of the insurance that you need to put in there, a whole lot of blood tests that needs to be done, paying, I think, the clinicians. So science and innovation, I think, through the IKS, Indigenous Knowledge-Based, unit, put up, I think, the first 10 million rand, towards, the clinical trial because they believed in the science. They believed in the work that has been done by the University of the Vrystaat and the Department of Farmakologie. And I know that, for instance, our Technology Innovation Agency, which is now TIA, is also looking up, to top up that to make sure that at least this clinical trial, it's a pivotal, study, the first study of its kind, I think, in South Africa, and most probably, I think, in the region, where we could look at a multi-center, clinical trial on a traditional medicines in a controlled environment. So I really want, to put my head down to the Department of Science and Innovation.
It's great to know that there are partners in government and in medicine that can take hands. Are you also partnering with Farmofs, I believe?
That's correct. Farmos is the University of the Vrystaat, I think, business arm. They have the most modern facilities, to do clinical trials. So this clinical trial is being a partnership between us and Farmos. We are really looking forward to ensure that, I think, we set up the standard, we set up the bar, for subsequent, protocol, also subsequent studies on traditional medicines. We really need to come up and say, how then do we ensure that we develop safe, quality, effective products that could actually to contribute to the quality of life, that could also contribute to the economy in a formal manner. And this should be registered by our South African Health Products Regulatory Authority.
Thank you very much, Prof, for being with us and talking with us about this exciting development in medicine. And we're all hoping for the best for the clinical trials.
Let's have our fingers crossed. I think, let's come up with a positive and a good, scientific story around traditional medicines so that at least we can also show, I think, the world that there is science in South Africa, as long as I think there is good traditional, I think, medicinal plants and traditional knowledge, I think, in the country. But we need that partnership between yourselves, to share the news, of what is happening, I think, in terms of the science, so that the world can be exposed to what we are doing. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, thank you very much, Prof. Dit was dan Professor Motlalepula Matsabisa van die Universiteit van Vrystaat se farmakologiese afdeling om met ons te gesels oor die kliniese toetse wat nou gedoen word om 'n plant-gebasseerde behandeling vir Covid-19 te kry.